And welcome back. It's Monday Night Live, the original Green Turtles Ravens rap show from the original 116th Street at Coastal Highway in North Ocean City with Ravens Rules 44. As Monday Night Live, a special feeling of euphoria coming off a win and going into the bye against the Seattle Seahawks team, 30-16, the final of that one. As we go through our good, the bad, the ugly, Mike Bradley, Brian McFarland, the capologist for Russell Street Report, and we're going to get into that coming up here in a second. You know, Brian, one of the things I posted on Facebook after the game was that one of the real strengths, I think, of a John Harbaugh coach team with the Ravens is the fact that they have been able to go into any environment, whether it be New England, whether it be Pittsburgh, whether it be Kansas City, and in this case, Seattle. They go in, for the most part, the crowd noise was not a factor. In fact, maybe the slippery conditions were a little bit more, but the crowd, the stadium, the noise was not a factor for the most part. They go in, they're not only competitive, obviously, 13-13 at the half, but they also win the ball game.
Yeah, and did they have a false start? I don't recall any false starts, which is usually indicative
if
of
they
crowd
had
noise.
one at most.
Right,
yeah,
it may have been one. But
yeah.
I mean, it seems like you're right. I mean, New England is not, or at least during the playoffs isn't. During the regular season, we seem to have trouble.
Yeah,
there.
that's
We
true.
play well, but we
That's true.
haven't won. But these are the kind of games they have to get over the hump. And obviously when you have a skill player like Lamar that can change the complexion of the game at any moment, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, no, most certainly. Now, a couple of bad and uglies here.
Mm-hmm.
We do have to go through those. The roughing the passer calls on Bynes and Ford on Wilson. They just need to use more common sense in terms of refs. I understand protecting the quarterback, and I get it. That's what the league is today. But those were some rough calls to be able to swallow.
They really were. And as you said, discretion, it seems like if you hit them in the legs, no matter what,
even if you get pushed into
no
it.
matter how you got there,
Yeah.
they're going to throw the flag. And, I mean, I guess if that's the way it's going to be, that's the way it's going to be. But I swear I've seen that happen to Ravens quarterbacks, and there's no flag. So I'm not saying it's a conspiracy or anything like that. But certainly it just looks terrible when a guy's just there. And he's clearly, it's not impactful. He's actually trying to get out of the way. One of them was actually turning away from the legs, but runs into him, and out comes the flag.
Some low balls by Jackson to his receivers. Now, we'll talk about them in just a second. But there were some passes in the game where just inaccurate, whether it be just it's a bad pass or the wet ball affected things a little bit. There were some balls there on some plays that might have gotten first downs, at least would have gotten them in better field position and better down and distance situation. That kind of hurt at times in the game.
Yeah, and I mean that's part of the growing pains, we'll say, with Lamar. I mean, to me, where he was last year till where he is now is night and day already. Now, if he can get sustain that during a season, because he's not going to get as much work on his footwork and getting his body under him as he would in July and August. They just don't have the time for that now. But it's still night and day compared to what it was. So we'll take that positive, even though yesterday was certainly a bit of a negative.
Yeah, and we see, and look, Lamar Jackson, he's got the talent. He's going to run. He's taking the team on his shoulders. What we want to see, and hey, the good news is that we've got room for improvement there, and we get Marquise Brown back. That will help as well. But in terms of the passing game to the receivers, it's just not really much existent. No. Mark Andrews is, as we know, the top target.
Right.
A little bit of Hayden Hurst in there as well. But that's an area, obviously, that we need to see evolve in this offense at some point. It may not be the primary element, but it's got to be a element.
Absolutely, and I'm still waiting for Boykin, because every time pretty much they've thrown to Boykin, he had a couple drops in the preseason, but he's not getting a lot of opportunities. But when he does, he seems to be there. And
well, yeah, that deep pass
hands
early on, and then it was gone after that.
Yeah.
So that was that. Mark Andrews, just 4 drops in the game if you count the one in the end zone as well. You got to give a little bit of credit to the defender in that one. Kind of reminds you of the Steelers game where you had the ball that was ruled an interception, which it wasn't on. I believe Nick Boyle was on the linebacker Devin Bush there, but it was kind of reminiscent of that. But if you count, just not a good day for him.
No, and hopefully it's not some wall he's hitting at this point in the season. Maybe the bye is a good thing. Maybe it was just the wetness. Who knows? But hopefully, I think we can assume that's not going to happen, because so far in his season and a half, that's never been an issue. It
was funny. They showed a graphic on TV that the Ravens are first in the league in converting 3rd down and 7+ at, I believe, about a 35% clip. And after they show that graphic, Jackson ran for a big first down on a pass drop after an incompletion on first down and then a stuff on the run on second down. And he proved that graphic right there and made that percentage just a little bit better. Hey, the scary thing is that if he had been able to get his cleats right, because he tried like 3 different types of cleats, he may have had more yards rushing in the game.
Well, the big play he had when they were kind of down in their own end, and he ran for 30 and almost got around that last defender, had a blocker who held the guy up enough, and you could see he was pissed when he got up. He thought he'd gotten by the guy. And my guess is his normal game speed, he's by that guy, and he's probably got 30 more yards and maybe even a touchdown.
I think when you see where Jackson got so upset about the play clock running out, he gets the ball, he slams the ball down, that he taps his center on the helmet. To be able to show, though, that kind of passion and how important yards like that in the red zone are and how a penalty can hurt you as well, but at the same time saying, all right, we're going to come back, we're going to get him. You have to love that, and that's different. And look, we could say what we want about Joe Flacco. I never wanted Joe to pretend to be somebody that he wasn't.
Right.
But we all know that we would. And I'm not sure. Look, Johnny Unitas would talk to guys, I'm sure, sternly. But I don't think you ever saw him do that when he played. And granted, he was before my time.
Right.
But, yeah, he was probably somewhere in the middle. But he wasn't exactly Lamar Jackson the other day either.
Right.
The bottom line being, though, that as a fan, you do love seeing that. I mean, that is something you really like. Not a Marino where he chew you out in your face, but showing a lot of energy. But, hey, let's go back and get him.
Or Phil Rivers is another
one.
Yeah,
or Phil Rivers,
So, and I think that reaction is sort of him growing into his leadership role, too, because that's the first time we've seen that.
Yeah.
And even other plays, he seemed very pissed off at himself. And that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing because he seems like he has that desire to, I'm going to fix this. Never totally thought that with Joe, and again, maybe that's just different, personality and all that, but you just sort of never felt that.
Yeah, and always striving to be better. I love this quote. He's one of one. Seahawks linebacker Bobby Wagner told Seattle reporters after the game in describing Jackson's unprecedented gifts. And then John Harbaugh saying, I don't know how to describe a competitor Lamar Jackson is. He wants to win at everything all the time, and we feed off that. He carries that. I think that's who we are as a team. That's why he fits us so well, and it showed today. And you saw that fire, and most certainly we did at a 30-16 victory.